Welcome to Getting to Know You. That is resident and staff here at Stonebridge. And today our theme is the Employee Appreciation Fund. It applies to everyone. I'm glad that I have three people joining the conversation who are willing to talk about their experiences with the Employee Appreciation Fund, why they do it, and why it's important to all of us. So I want to welcome here David Mulford, Tony Glockler, and Mickey Schreiber. But before I turn to them for some conversation about our theme, I want to say something about the production of this program, because today we really are saying thank you and in effect partially goodbye to Robin Doherty, who has made it possible for us from the very beginning to produce this. She actually took or taped, I guess I'm never sure about the right verb, the first program on her iPhone and did so until well into acquiring a iPad here at Stonebridge. She had used hers at home to edit the program and put it up on 1979. So we say thank you to her as we welcome Jock McFarland, a resident here, to become our new taper, videographer, whatever that term is. So welcome to Jock, and many, many thanks to Robin for her service and for her continuing interest in helping us do this program. I also want to say that at this point, that Sandy Hyatt was very important right from the beginning. We were sort of primitive, didn't have a timer, and he was with us to signal how we were doing on time and helping us set up the program. So I want to thank him as we phase into this new technology with new sound too, as you all know. So let me turn first to Mickey Schreiber, who's sitting next to me. And I know from walking around the halls that Mickey has big signs on her door saying, "We appreciate you and thank you." But Mickey, you know you're only touching a certain number of people. So why do you support the fund when you're already appreciating so many people?
Well, yes, I've appreciated people who deliver dinner and come to me, but there's so many people who are working behind the scenes and I don't even know them, some of them. So I think this is a wonderful opportunity to thank everybody. This is a very special year, and I think everybody's worked so hard to keep us safe, and we are safe.
Right.
Look at the numbers.
Yeah.
And I think they've taken so many risks coming and going to their communities, so we don't have to leave ours. And I just think this is not a normal year, so I would hope that we would be grateful, as grateful as we always are, perhaps a little more so.
Right. Well, I know and people know here, that you've been active in the Princeton Festival and that you've been the development person keeping track of the money. So when you say something about contributing, I know you have a sharp eye on it, but you also know how important it is with many people making a contribution and making something happen. And that's true with this Employee Appreciation Fund.
It is. I think the important thing is for everybody to give something, whatever you can afford, and maybe this year just stretch a little bit more because it's a very special year, and we've had a lot of attention, a lot of care, a lot of very good grace. They've done this with good humor,
right? And
they deserve everything we can give them.
Good advice. I want to turn to David Mulford, because David, I think you've been involved in giving to the fund, but also making sure that it happened well. As 14 years here at Stonebridge.
That's right.
And you're not sure how it all got started, but it's always been here for you. And then I know we recognized your service on the Resident Association Executive Committee for 9 years. Right. So that gave you special status in regard to the fund. Can you tell us a little bit about what happens once the money has been raised? And
very happy to talk about that, because I think the Employee Appreciation Fund is extremely, extremely important. One of the joys of being on the executive committee was to have the opportunity early in December each year to hand out checks to the employees. It would be perhaps in the living room area downstairs or upstairs in the area here. And we had the joy of seeing these employees come and with great anticipation to receive their checks. You could tell by the expression on their faces how much they appreciated it. And the nice thing about this fund is that it is divided in a very fair way, and it is so much more efficient than trying to tip individuals whom you know, employees whom you've come to know, because as has already been said, so many of these employees we do not know. One of the things that, as I say, this was a great joy to hand these checks out and know that it was being done in such a fair way. This year was special because these employees were called upon to do so many, many different things outside the area of their specialties. So I think they deserve an extra gift this year, and I know that Nancy and I have decided to give more this year than we did last year because we think the challenges were a lot greater.
Right.
So I hope a lot of people would consider that.
Right. Could you just say a word about that fairness part, that everybody gets in effect the same thing? There's no wondering if one person standing next to you got more. It's divided by
By the
hour?
number of hours that
yeah.
the employees work. So it's very, very fair. Nobody is favored over another. It's treated in a very fair way, and I think that's the best way to do it in a community such as this.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you, and we'll look forward to maybe walking by where the checks are given out, because there's always
That's
a lot of
fun to see
yeah.
those people receive their checks.
Okay, and Tony, let me go to you. You've already been on the program once before as treasurer, but you're now heading up the fund itself. But you're also, you and your wife are people who are making a contribution, have to think about it. So maybe you have some thoughts about that, but also could say something about the fund itself.
Well, Bev and I have contributed ever since we've been here. We felt from the very beginning that these people were serving us and there was no tipping allowed. And then we heard about this, the Employee Appreciation Fund, and thought, well, this is really the best way to do it. So what I want to say to the residents who may be seeing this, the election is almost here, and I'd like you to vote twice. Once for politicians, and once as appreciation for the employees who work here at Stonebridge. In this book that you may have seen, a resident wrote, the COVID, how can we ever thank everyone who took care of us, especially the many who got sick while doing it? I'd like you to think about that question, because I think the best way to answer that question is to participate in the Employee Appreciation Fund. As the other two people here have pointed out, the employees have gone above and beyond in these recent months, doing things they weren't used to doing, pitching in, working overtime. We certainly appreciate that. Some of the most frequently asked questions that I receive are, how much should I give? Well, the executive committee recommends an amount between $50 and $75 per month per residence here. What that computes out to is $1.64 per day at the $50 level, or $2.47 per day at the higher level. That's, I think, a very reasonable level to aim at. Another question I get asked is this a charitable contribution? Will the IRS recognize it? The answer is yes. You will get a letter from Spring Point acknowledging your gift to the fund, which you can use at tax time. Another question I get is, how do I make out the check and who do I give it to? The check should be made out to the Stonebridge Employee Appreciation Fund, and it should be given to Keith Icola in the finance office. I never see it. No member of the executive committee knows who's donating or how much. So this is all confidential. we're very grateful to all of you who have already contributed. And those who have not contributed, I just want to let you know that the deadline is November 24th. So please, don't wait. Write that check today. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Tony, for helping us get all of this information into one nice little package, so we sort of understand and have something to think about. I know as a person who is giving, I really value the advice of what the gift should be. If you've ever lived in an apartment and had to decide how you will hand out funds or tips at the holidays, it's a crapshoot, to be honest. You don't know what's expected. You don't know all the people who have helped you. The fairness of this is so terrific in terms of the givers as well as the receivers, and thoughtful. I think we all owe the 4 mothers and fathers who thought this up, and the people who, like you, are leading it today, and others like us sitting around the table who I hope can encourage people who may have questions about what the fund is about and how it's run. Because I just see those smiles on people's faces when the checks are given out, and you know that it's a good thing for us to be doing. So I hope that this has been helpful to you. If you've had questions, I hope you also will express your appreciation to the people who make it possible for you to give, but most of all, I hope you will express your appreciation to the many brave, diligent, flexible people who have served us in this very special year. So thank you, Mickey, Tony, and David, for being with us today, and help carry on what is a tradition, but every year needs to be renewed. So thank you all.